a sample of one.
I want to see. I'm going to talk to you.
Well,
It's the next item on the list.
well, basically, what the dead side indicator is, you have like a cast iron housing with like a window in full thick glass.
It's a sight tube.
Yes, okay, that's like two. They're used like on borders and I guess houses or schools or large buildings. And locomotives, okay. And basically, that's a direct reading thing. When you see the water level, it looks like, almost like a thermometer. And hopefully you can see the thing. I think ours has like a silver line in the back, so it looks like a mercury thermometer. And its water level goes up when you have more water in your water. The level's higher. When it drops down, level's lower. So you have to have that sort of, I guess, calibrate, just like you have your water tube indicator on your dashboard. You know, indicate where you have to put on your pump or to put water in if you have to add more water. So that's basically what it is. Like I say, we had trouble with ours where we had the gasket dissolved by having kerosene in. One winter, someone said, you know, if you don't have water in your water filled up with kerosene, we did, and then the next spring we had to get a new water. You know, there's an outfit over in New Jersey that sells those things. You can buy the parts right from them
Like
over
MasterCard?
the counter.
Ernst Gage Company, Livingston.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. And they have the parts that you can get everything, you know, brand new replacement. Now, I think our part, if I remember correctly, I think he carries a spare indicator already like tubed up, so he could just disconnect a couple connections and exchange the whole unit rather than have take the thing apart and replace the glass on the road. Then you'd have any trouble.
That would imply he has valves on it,
Well, I guess. I mean,
which makes,
They come with check valves.
no, I mean,
he's
well-
going to disconnect it from the side of the boiler, which
Well-
means you've got two open pipes.
well, I guess you leave everything cool off, but you
had
just
that,
have two
we can-
unions, I guess, that connect the whole unit up rather than having to retube, you know,
If it comes
off.
My
In your-
problem with valves is if one of them's off, the thing isn't going to read right.
Right.
If it blows to where you need to replace it, you're probably losing all the pressure anyway.
Yeah.
In the early handbook, it said you could replace the glass in the indicator because there's a check valve on it at each end. And you can actually replace the glass with steam in the boiler.
Which one?
One of the instruction manuals.
Another Stanley manual?
Talking about something else.
Huh?
I think on our part, it's, there's some blow off.
I'm sorry, it was on the mobile.
To it.
The mobile,
So you
mobile
can
instruction manual.
The
blow
which
it
one?
out a little bit to clean
The
it
mobile
up, just like-
instruction manual.
Oh, okay.
you know.
I asked Bob about the spelling on the test because I thought it was dead sight, not dead side.
That's what I thought.
It's site, but it's a nickname anyway, I think.
Right.
I don't know what the official name is. Water level indicator, I would think.
Or viewing tube or something.
Dead site is right because it's.
Where it is.
What you see is what you
You're
get.
actually looking, that's right.
What you got?
Water level indicator.
Not if the water column's true.
That's right. Could fool you too.
Richard,
It'll
after
be
you
a
asked
false
me that,
reading.
I looked at both spellings on the internet, and neither one of them turned up anything.
Really?
It can give you a false indicator if the water column chokes. It'll give you the same false indicator the other one will. You'll have a glass full of water,
Motives are good for that.
It's supposed to blow them down.
and the little locomotives that have.
Locomotives have 3 valves on them for blowing those things down.
The little ones don't.
No, okay.
Have one.
I'm
Big-
talking,
big
yeah.
locomotives do. And I'm constantly about every run around the station blowing.
Bob, if you were looking for it on the internet, to go to buy one, it's an armored gauge, it's an armored sight glass.
No, I was looking for whether it was dead side or dead sight to see if one or the other would pop up.
Sight.
An armored,
Usually it's dead
armored
sight.
sight glasses.
Okay.
Sight.
Put it
Because
maybe on the
you're
side.
looking right at it, and it's dead. I mean, there's
That's
no
where it is.
question about it.
Right.
Richard, the vaporizer.
Oh, an easy one. I know a little bit about that. You don't have a, well, it comes in,
On the floor.
goes across the top of the burner.
The one in that boiler that came off, the lady.
Do you have the pilot thing there?
Here it is here. Here.
It operates the same as the one on the pilot. So the vaporizer, where the fuel comes in across the top of the burner, then outside again and into the mixing tube. And it constantly gets more efficient, I guess, while you're running, because you get more and more heat here and the fuel's vaporized better and better, so that when it's going into the mixing tubes, you have much better mixture for burning. The reason you heat it is that if it's not warm, that's what you're heating mostly. If it's not warm, you're not going to get some vaporized fuel. You'll get the wet fuel coming out.
Don't forget the cable.
Yes, and not such good burn. I don't know too much else about vaporizer.
How long typically?
That I don't know. I know the length. I've seen them. They're coils, and isn't there a cable in them too that serves what function? I can't remember.
Pushes the fuel to the outside.
Is that what it does?
That's part
We're
of it,
certain.
and the cleanout feature, if the thing chokes up, sometimes you can get the cable loose, whereas if it plugged up and you had nothing in there, well, I don't know how you'd ever get the pipe. You could try to burn it out, but
I've heard conversations about the how long they should be and what the different efficiency is based on their length. But I don't know how their length is calculated.
well, gasoline's different than kerosene.
I knew that. I don't know. Does anybody? I don't know how they calculate.
The heavier the fuel, the longer they are. So diesel fuel's got to be, it's a heavier fuel than kerosene, so it's got to have a
More
longer.
time for vapor.
Yeah, it takes longer for it to vaporize, so
But it
you need
won't
a
work
longer tube.
because then you get too much carbon, that's why you can't burn diesel fuel.
Well, I mean diesel and gasoline.
You have
Excuse
to
me.
mix it with something that gives you something like kerosene anyway by mixing it.
Well, is our understanding that the length was determined through some kind of trial and error process?
Pretty much, because you can't make any two vaporizers alike. You can make gasoline vaporizers alike, you can't make kerosene vaporizers alike. That's not the way they made them.
Uh-huh.
Did they always have the cable in them? Was that a
Yeah,
standard?
but there's so many variables in making the thing. Now, the standard length for a kerosene vaporizer in a 20-horse burner is about 7 to 8 feet. But I have seen some as short as 6 feet, I've seen some as long as 9 feet, and I rather prefer the shorter ones, except that you gotta have enough so that you know raw fuel all the time. I think as time went on, in the 740 and 750 models at the last was where you saw the 9-foot vaporizers, and I guess they figured that it would be easier to light, less likely to have a fire from raw fuel and all that. But the downside of it was that unless you had perfect water white kerosene all the time, it would get hotter, and I really think the hotter it was, the better the efficiency, but that's when the fuel breaks down, you start to get carbon inside your pipe, pretty soon you're choked off. And that was one reason for the cable. The other is just what Ed said, to keep the fuel hotter around the outside of the pipe. But often you can pull that cable without dropping the burner. If you have to try to clean the vaporizer any other way, it usually means burning it out with heat and oxygen, and you can't do it in the car because you can't get the pipe hot enough. Generally, how many miles or how much time can you run on a burner before you have to try to clean it? If you have good kerosene, good fuel, you run forever. If you don't, you might be plagued with having to fool with it twice a year. But
gasoline, and when I said you can't make two alike, it's because you could make two coiled exactly alike if you're real careful. Nobody's that careful, but you could if you had to. But one would be a little higher off the grate than the other when it's in place, therefore you get a little more, a little less heat. So many variables, yeah, that you really can't make two. I tell you, I'm about to make one for the 740, and it's about 7.5 feet long, so I think that's a good average. That just like the pipe I had, so that's why it's 7.5 feet. But anyway, how do I configure it? Well, I went to see where the delivery tube was, which was right alongside the mixing tubes on that car. Non-condensers, it comes in 180 degrees from where the nozzles are, but on the condenser it's only about 10 degrees off, so you configure it so that the cold end will be almost just that far from the hot end, really. And you bend it in there, so I don't make it like any other one was ever made, it's just however it fits. But it'll work all right. But I guess if we were relying on these cars for everyday transportation, we'd try to be a little more exact and figure out some of the things.
Ann had never heard of a steam enema. You know what one is now?
I don't want to talk about animals. I can only use my imagination.
That too is a nickname, and the Stanleys never used them because they didn't need to. But Bob can tell you what it is, or somebody else.
It's the steam. It's a steam connection to the vaporizer to clean it.
One thing to do before you do it, though.
Yeah. Now to do that, you need to open up the nozzle, take the forks off or whatever, and take the wire out because it'll come flying out of there like a rocket if you put 600-pound steam to it. And then crack the valve and blow it through.
Are they normally fitted with the steam connection, or you
The
got
only
to
time
mod-
I've run into them is with a Krubin burner.
Stanley never put them on. It's a
Yeah, the modification?
late
Yeah.
modification, yeah. And it's no good if you wait till you get choked up, because that'll never clean it out if you're already choked up. But if you do it as a routine thing, like every other day, if you're running the car, say, 100 miles a day, every other day or every third day, you keep that build-up from building up, and that way, as Bob says, you got to pull the cable out first. I didn't do that one day out in Colorado, and I fortunately saw the cable. It was headed for the next farm. I was able to retrieve it.
The fuel line for the Krubin comes in to a brass fitting at the top, and there's a long like cap over it that you can unscrew, and it leaves you about 2 inches of cable to grab, and you can pull that out, screw the cap back on. One bolt takes the nozzle off the other end of that thing, and then you can just clean it right out. So the Krubin's easy to get the cable out. The Stanleys, you've got to take the whole fork off, and
But the difference on the Krubin is that the cable is on the cold side of the vaporizer, not
Yes.
the hot side. So actually, if you crack the steam enema on that, you drive the cable into the vaporizer instead of out of it, and you may never get it out.
I doubt that steam would ever move that cable. It might if everything was nice and free in there. But that's the way Stanleys were originally, the cable in from the cold in, but we started reversing them for just the reason Bob was saying, so you can get a hold of it in the front and pull it out. And then we didn't really see any difference in the functioning of it, whether it was in from the cold end or the hot end. And then some people had them all the way through anyway, so you could reach it from either end.
When the cars were actually used as an everyday car, did the owners do this type of maintenance?
I think they have better fuel Gerhard. I really think that today nobody's burning kerosene in automobiles, and these kerosene stoves became popular, and maybe a few kerosene lanterns. And then you get into the very highly refined stuff for jet airplanes. But for we have trouble, I think, buying good kerosene now. This last lot I got here, I don't think it's very good, and it was sold to me as the best you can buy, $2 a gallon. Way too much to pay, but it's still not
What
100%.
about the coloring that they had in?
Wasn't that coloring because if I had paid like $1.70, I could have got it with the coloring, but $2 is supposed to have the tax.
Clear.
Clear.
I mean, if you pull into like a gas station, the only thing they have is
Well, there's
the one
different,
with the coloring.
different theories on that. I can't say. Some say the coloring will affect you. It's not as good as the clear. Other people say there shouldn't be any difference. We burned some with the coloring on these tours where that was all we could get, and I don't think we thought it did us any harm, but we weren't using it continuously.
Why would they put coloring kerosene? Because it's not a,
Tax,
yeah,
Tax control measure.
it's all tax
but it's
control.
not usually used for motor vehicles.
But some truck drivers and folks like that are burning that instead of the diesel fuel
To avoid
Okay.
paying the
to
tax.
avoid the tax.
Okay.
So if they stop them and inspect their tanks,
Yeah. it should be
they can
colored.
get in a lot of trouble.
Farm tractors, diesel is also different, color too emissions.
Yeah, because the stuff that they get at the railroad for the locomotive isn't colored.
The idea is if they pull a truck over and
It doesn't have a tax in
push
it.
something into a tank and they come out with the wrong color, get in trouble.
I think your house heating oil is supposed to have color in it, isn't it?
Yeah, probably
Yes,
so
it
they
does.
don't use that too.
If you have color in your truck,
When you go blue or red.
Andy, superheaters.
At least I asked Jerry to explain mine.
My answer sheet's in red.
Your answer.
superheroes.
Superheroes.
That's on page 12.
That's a new MV video.
I'm not sure, wild guess, it's connected to the and the water goes through. The steam is exhaust from the engine through the heater and the water's passed through it
No.
and the steam hits the water it's going to. Forget it.
Sounded good.
Made sense to me.
Ed can tell you.
No,
Same thing as on a locomotive.
I know, but let her answer it.
Ann's gonna answer it?
Locomotive. Yeah, it's your turn. Go ahead.
The steam comes out of the boiler, then it's passed through the coils again to be heated once more.
Those coils are where?
You had to ask me now. Right
Over the
inside
burner.
Over the burner.
Over
Yeah,
the
this
burner.
is exhaust steam.
No.
No.
Between
Boiler
Okay.
throttle.
What was
Yeah,
that?
he's talking about preheat.
Between the
Yes.
throttle and the engine.
That's it,
between the
took
throttle
off
and the
cars.
engine.
That's a feed water heater.
So it
Okay.
heats it even
sorry.
more
Make
Make
before
sure
it gets
that
to the engine.
feed
I was
dry.
at the wrong
and-
mechanism. Oh, excuse me. Yeah.
That's why when you stop the
Dry and expanded all the way.
When you stop, when you're firing up, yes.
you want to burn up superheater.
Superheater. That's when you're firing up.
The
Do
steam,
both condensers and non-condensers have superheaters?
Yes.
mhm.
Even the tillers have
Okay.
Where is it? It's in the boiler?
No, in the burner.
You come out of the throttle, you go down under the boiler above the fire.
I'm assuming the vaporizer is below.
Vaporizer and the superheater, yes.
Both in the firebox, yeah.
Yeah.
Brian's right, the vaporizer.
Which one's on the top? You got the burner.
It's the burner, the vaporizer for the main burner,
Yeah.
and then
And
the
then the
superheater in the bottom of the boiler.
Yeah.
If you want to see a superheater right now, climb up under the 740 and look up under the boiler. You'll see it right under that boiler on that car, because that burner's off of there. Sometimes they're S-shaped, back and forth, and I guess originally they were back and forth, and now they're just coils.
It's easier to make the bends than it is not. They make nice bends, but sometimes we have trouble cracking the pipe when we try to make it a shark fin.
So was there a length on there? That they would,
Well, again, I think 8 or 9 feet's about right, 20 horsepower. The 735 has about 14 feet, and the reason it can get away with so much, it's got that piston valve engine.
So the cracking the throttle when you're firing up is to make sure there's steam in the superheater.
To keep it,
Yes,
So
keep
it's
it,
not empty.
keeps it cool.
yes.
Yeah.
That's
Keeps it
right,
cool.
something passing through it and keep it cool.
Yeah.
Hey Bob, how does, it's more efficient, I mean, it prevents getting, wet steam to the engine when you're running. That's one of the reasons it's there, but it's also an efficiency thing, right?
Increasing the superheat increases the steam, the energy in the steam.
Okay, that's what
Okay.
More BTUs, the
the
higher
hotter
the
you have the
temperature.
steam, the more energy it possesses.
As
And we don't get a whole lot of superheat in a Stanley, and we can't have too much because of the slide valves and being able to lubricate them.
That's one of the,
But with the high pressure we carry, our saturated steam is close to 500 degrees, so you take and heat it another 100, that's about all you want.
And the lubricator puts the oil in after the superheater.
No, it puts, yeah,
Yeah.
Yes.
that's right.
The
That's-
oil does not get to the superheater.
No.
Yeah.
Well, the superheater's after the throttle,
I don't know,
and
the oil.
then the oil's after that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Bill roll.
Bill rules.
oh, wow. This is a throttle valve.
it's like a bit banger to me.
This is
Bang
off
a
a,
lot of stuff with
this is off a,
It's a non-condenser.
you think?
Looks small.
Doesn't have the ear on it to back it up.
Well, the condensing cars, sometimes the ear was on the fitting that screwed in the end,
Into it?
and on the very early throttles, they didn't have the ear either.
Oh, okay. So this is either early or,
Lately.
actually it's probably early because it's got Stanley Motor Car Company stamped in it.
Would be.
This is the throttle when you take the lever on the column to make the car go. It's very tight for some reason. It connects to the top of the boiler. That's where the steam comes into it. And then the steam coming out of it goes down to the superheater and then back to the engine. Try to. There it goes. In a way, they're a little backwards from what you might think. When you're pushing the stem in, that's actually opening the valve. When you pull the stem out, it's closed. And to get it apart, you got to take it off the boiler. 'Cause it's got a, the stem comes out where the steam pipe goes in. This has a packing nut on the stem, and when the barrel comes out, part in the back is the seat that does shut the steam off. And as soon as it comes off its seat, the steam goes inside this barrel. And that's why it's called a balanced valve. And that equalizes the pressure within the valve so that you're not fighting boiler pressure with your throttle handle. It makes it work a lot easier. And since it's a barrel valve, it has a side port. You can see the hole. And part of putting this valve in correctly is, and there's a marking on the stem, usually a couple punch marks or drill marks, you have to have this hole so that it lines up with the port off the side of the valve, or you'll never get any steam out of it. If this gets turned, if you're adjusting throttles, and this thing gets turned around a little bit, you can lose part of your throttle, or you can lose all of it. So you'd be moving this thing back and forth, you still won't, the car won't go. So you have to look at that.
Now, when you're actually moving the throttle, you're only moving it, that barrel's only moving the distance of that hole?
Yeah, and we shape the one edge of the hole with a little V, and that lets the throttle come
Lets it
on
crack on.
a little sooner. I mean, a little bit at first, and then gradually.
So pretty much the whole distance you're moving the throttle handle is only corresponding to about that much in the
Yeah, the
actual
first
valve.
part you move it,
Right under the chair.
this hole here and the port in the side of the barrel are about the same size. So that when it's set up right, this is pulled all the way up. This hole's ahead of this side, and this has the steam shut off because the steam's coming from the boiler. So as soon as I pop that off the seat, the steam comes around this and in the barrel. And because of the close fit, you really don't get steam coming out the valve. You might get just a whisk, but basically none. And then as you keep pushing this in, the two holes start to line up. And the more they line up, the more steam you get out of the valve. And conversely, like I say, if this thing's rotated out of position, you won't get anything out of it.
And where you start getting leaky throttles is where that barrel's starting to get worn. It's probably leaking
No.
along the side of the barrel.
Generally, the leaking condition is in an absolute off position, and that's this seat back here,
Okay.
and the seat in the valve body. That's the-
You were asking about leak, packing leak. True or
I was
false?
thinking more about you've got the throttle closed and you're getting a fairly good blow out of the drip.
That's this back here leaking.
Okay.
This isn't a positive show.
Which could be adjustment of the linkage. or
Sometimes a
that
little more tension on the linkage. In other words, as you're closing that throttle, you should actually
You should have
feel
a
some
little bit of
resistance
bend.
just short of, feeling the stop. Just not a lot, but just short of that. And that's developing a little extra seat pressure. But that's what goes on. But we've had times when the car doesn't go right, and the first thing you look for is these indicating marks on the stem, and they want to be facing the outlet of the valve. And on any car, it can be
I remember
maybe in
you
a
and I
different
taking that apart on Gene's car.
So that's, like this one, it's got an odd mark here for some reason, so you gotta
Take
see
a look
what's
at it
what.
before you
You know,
put it in.
there's a punch mark, you can make that line up, it's not gonna work. Here's the two you want, okay, for the new barrel. So, that's the throttle valve.
Any questions on that? Sir, much?
When you have the car sitting just idle, you know, like storage, you want it open or closed?
I'd defer to Tom, I think you like them open, don't you, Tom?
Open, they'll stick no matter where they are. The stem will stick in the packing, but they won't stick as bad if they're open.
And if they really get stuck, you warm them with a torch, warm the body with a torch, don't you?
Yeah, well, sometimes in the spring after these cars have been sitting all winter, if you put a torch on the body, the throttle, but you'll find them stuck. Sometimes if you want it open anyway, when you light the pilot and start the burner, why, as soon as it gets warm, it'll free itself
Yeah.
anyway.
Because it's a brass body, it'll come off the stainless or steel barrel,
But it's
whatever
better
happens.
to
to
be
it.
open, so
Yeah.
it's standard.
It'll come off faster,
Plus, if you push the car and the pumps are pumping, and you end up with water, it'll spill over and come out the drip. You can't
If it's open.
hydrolock the boilers. Or the pumps.
All right, let's talk about moving a Stanley that's not running.
Okay.
What do we do?
That's one of the questions.
One
so
of the
let's-
questions.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, later on. It's 9:30. I don't know that we want to go longer. We haven't gone quite through everything here.
Bob and I talked earlier about this probably would take more than one session, but the question is, would it be more valuable later in the winter? I think Bob likes to keep some sort of continuity so we don't forget everything we talked about tonight. So in that sense, it would be better to have it sooner rather than later. But I just thought that maybe this is more helpful before the driving season than it is at the end of the driving season. So this is kind of up for your thoughts right now.
The other thing is, some of you have asked questions about the written questions in part 2. And I thought going through all of this stuff, refreshing how some of it works, may help you answer the part B questions. So maybe you want to work on some of those in the interim. Question is, when do you want to do this again? In December, or wait till January, wait till February?
Whenever he's back.
Well, I think maybe again, before the driving season starts, February might be good. This has really been informative and
Would you
helpful.
have to repeat a lot of stuff?
I
Hopefully
would
not.
start on with the questions,
Yeah, hopefully you
part
won't
B
have to
stuff.
repeat
Yeah.
too much.
Same, I want to keep the same format.
We may want to
Well, that's
when you catch up on your maintenance projects.
Well, that's the thing, we're not going to meet next week to do any maintenance. Tom's going
Right.
to have that meeting. Then it's Thanksgiving, I think, after that.
I
Couple
kind of,
things, Christmas.
So then you're into the Christmas holidays.
not that I'm here that often, but I could kind of view it either way. I mean, just after the driving season, it seems like a lot of these questions are relevant since people have experienced some of the issues that, are being answered, and it may help to
Well, the next part
solidify
of
in
it,
people's minds.
the next part of it should be very informative for driving.
Yeah.
But then I can see it as also a good refresher before you go out and drive again for the springtime.
Yeah, I mean, he could keep doing it, he got to over and over, it just doesn't hurt to keep going over it.
No, it doesn't.
And really, where the questions came from is things that happened, Tom's observed, or I've observed, somebody else has observed during some of the training sessions and